And then just cut the beginning off.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all here celebrating Earth Month. I'm Kelly Gilbert, I'm the Executive Director of Metropolitan Energy Center. I took a walk yesterday at Parkville Nature Sanctuary, and I loved seeing the spring ephemerals and the budding trees and shrubs. The bush honeysuckle and multiflora rose tried to put a damper on things, but there is still a very great abundance of native beauties in our green spaces. And I take heart from the resilience of our natural spaces. So let's get to it. I'm going to give you a brief taste of what Metropolitan Energy Center, or MEC, has been up to recently and share some ways that you can become involved in our programming and community engagement. Our mission since 1983 is to create resource efficiency, environmental health, and economic vitality in the Kansas City region and beyond. Some of you here may be familiar with MEC, but it's okay if you're not. We've been flying under the radar for most of our history, but we turned 40 almost 2 years ago. Over the decades, MEC has worked with thousands of residents, businesses, and municipalities to transform energy use in the buildings and transportation sectors. We have also been lucky enough to steward over $25 million in federal grants and projects to disperse training, resources, and new technologies in communities across Kansas and Missouri. Since 1983, I've been working in the building energy efficiency at multiple levels. Today, our programming impacts both commercial and residential buildings. In 1996, we began working in transportation and vehicle fuels as well. And today, we have 2 public-private partnerships for clean transportation, which are supported in part by the U.S. Department of Energy's umbrella for clean cities and communities. And we have a community asset, Project Living Proof, which is a historic home that demonstrates energy efficiency, no-mow lawns, and water conservation, sustainable building practices, renewable energy, and even alternative fuels. This asset was developed through a major community effort in fundraising, donation of professional skills, partnership with utilities and other businesses, and lots of sweat equity. We are the Metropolitan Energy Center, and we talk about energy conservation and the environment a lot in our work. But our work is also very much tied to human health and safety. Our buildings very often define our spaces. They're where we work, sleep, gather, shop, eat, drink. We spend something like 90% of our time indoors. It should be no surprise, then, that the health of our buildings impacts the health of our bodies. Our partners at Children's Mercy Hospital and UMKC recently produced a study using our aggregated data over more than a decade of home energy retrofits. They found a convincing correlative link between energy efficiency improvements and a drop in asthma severity and frequency of hospital visits from children. Perhaps the most unexpected finding from the study is that the same benefits were found in residents of all decades when homes were built. And the amount of the benefit? A 33% reduction in children's asthma between weatherized homes and a control group. Energy codes and building performance standards are designed to alleviate these critical problems. And if our municipal or state building codes allow builders to cut corners, our health and our pocketbooks suffer. Transportation is also a major part of our daily lives. It's how our food gets to our plates and how your clothes get from A to Z for you to buy, and how you arrive at work or school or play. Today, you walked here, you drove or carpooled, you used a bus, or perhaps you rode a bicycle. Each of these activities is a choice that has an impact on the greater picture. Asthma and lung illness in general is exacerbated in urban areas and in transportation hubs by outdoor air contaminants, such as ground level ozone and particulate matter. When you see an air quality alert in Kansas City, that's typically related to ozone. When an ozone alert is issued, it means an unhealthy concentration of pollution is expected. The warning means that you should stay indoors in a well-ventilated or air-conditioned building. See how that's already connected to our buildings work? The warning also asks us to drive less, to avoid fueling our vehicles, and definitely not to top off your tank. Also to postpone your mowing to another day. This is because ozone makes it hard for your lungs to absorb oxygen. Particulate matter is another serious air contaminant. It is carried through your bloodstream to all organs and can interfere with lung, heart, and brain health. This is why the Environmental Protection Agency, our state agencies for health, and our local planning agencies regulate air quality. While there are more sources for air emissions, transportation is a major contributor. Thank goodness then that we're not the only agency in the area working to make transportation and our buildings work better for all of us. We work in partnership with many others to do the following work. Building performance and energy efficiency. Energy efficiency has always had a strong link with cost savings. Everyone uses energy in their homes, but to some Kansas Cityans, the cost that they pay for their utilities is a real cost burden. By definition, being housing cost burden means that you are paying 30% or more of your monthly income toward rent or mortgage. Often, this does not even include utilities, which means the cost burden for a livable home can be even higher in Kansas City. The American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy produces periodic reports. In one recent report, Kansas City, Missouri is ranked 7th highest among U.S. cities for energy spending as a proportion of household income. Our Kansas City area has an aging building and energy infrastructure, and we have an aging population of building construction workers. Having gone through many iterations of energy efficiency and building performance programs over the past 4 decades, today MEC's building energy efficiency staff use building science and best practices for new construction and retrofits to be a full-service resource to the community. We host several projects that spur education, access to information and funding resources, and new jobs training. Our activities include providing information and support for healthy and sustainable buildings through benchmarking and one-on-one consultations, training contractors on the attributes of a healthy home and how they can impact energy retrofits in a positive way, being a concierge service for businesses and residents that need contractors and other help to renovate their homes and buildings, and facilitating research and promulgating that research via advocacy and events like this one. Sustainable transportation. Limiting our use of personal vehicles saves fuel and lowers greenhouse gas emissions by reducing the overall miles that vehicles travel. This includes carpooling, biking, teleworking, public transportation, and more. You are familiar with most of these options because your personal choices typically fall into this category of our work. Each mile reduced equates to a measure of fuel not burned and emissions not generated and not released. Consumer behavior has the biggest potential impact on this leg of creating a cleaner transportation system, though many of these strategies can be incentivized by an employer or a school. A lot of the options also have a side benefit of encouraging physical activity and social interaction. But that leaves a whole lot of big equipment out of the equation. The buses that we use for school, for transit, at the airport, and courtesy shuttles from hotels or rental companies. What about goods delivery and freight? Those big trucks dropping off packages several times a day on our streets. Food and goods delivery to our restaurants and businesses. Garbage trucks, dump trucks, and other utility work trucks. How can we make that better? That's where most of our transportation work has been in previous years. We help companies and government agencies drive fewer miles. Yes, but honestly, for the most part, they manage that on their own since that's money in their pockets. What they need from us is expertise in technology and strategies that can help them use less polluting fuels, what we call alternative fuels. And yes, that does include electric vehicles. Together, we train, educate, and inform fleet professionals, and we collectively solve problems. These may come in the form of a green fleet analysis for improved decision-making, training on alternative fuels, connections to vendors and cooperative purchasing agreements, identifying funding opportunities, and grant application assistance. We actually happen to have a grant application open on our website right now for diesel vehicle replacement. Visit metroenergy.org/procurement to find out more. Moving on to our demonstration home called Project Living Proof. Community workshops, education, and advocacy are at the heart of MEC. At our energy efficient demonstration home, community members can access information and resources to learn how sustainability and efficiency are possible and affordable, even in older homes. If requested, MEC staff will also be available to answer burning questions about electric vehicles, charging stations, and other transportation topics. On a typical tour at Project Living Proof, you will encounter solar photovoltaics with a battery backup system, passive house design elements, high-efficiency water heaters, how insulation and air sealing save you money, how geothermal works with heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, sustainable gardens with no-mow lawns, rainwater catchment systems and bioswales, and more. Visit metroenergy.org/projectlivingproof. There you can complete an online request form to arrange a tour that works for your schedule. And if you'd like to hold a meeting or event there, you can also call our office or contact our operations director, Royce Martin. So looking ahead, we are hoping that the state of our federal grants will allow us to continue our plans to expand vocational training for energy and construction jobs, scale our workforce development reach to rural areas of Kansas and northwestern Missouri, strengthen a partnership with the Kansas City Public Library to bring energy efficiency information and funding assistance to area homeowners and renters, expand our partnerships with rural agencies, and bring transportation resources to underserved populations, strategically engage in advocacy for good policy at the state and local levels, and more. Remember to visit metroenergy.org/procurement for information on funding opportunities. There's a second one coming out soon for small business and rural agencies related to electric vehicles and charging. And visit metroenergy.org/events for the event calendar, or sign up for our newsletter just to stay informed. If you would like to volunteer with us at events or even get involved in fundraising campaigns, contact Renee Conmeyer, our development director. I'll leave you with the email addresses for myself, our two program managers who can help you access our program assistance, those being Mary English with Building Performance Program and Katie Engel with the Sustainable Transportation Program, and our two directors who can assist you with Project Living Proof or bring you on board as a volunteer. Of course, you can also follow us on social media to see the latest news. And if you love our work and want to help launch new energy efficiency projects at disadvantaged business enterprises that would otherwise have trouble working innovations into their budgets, your donation now would help get new community projects up and running faster. We appreciate the support from all of our managing fund members. And that's it for my presentation. Are there any questions?